Hey friends, it's Malachi Dawson and welcome back to my channel. Hey guys, it's Mally, and so today's word is going to be a little bit different. So if you guys are subscribed to my channel, you know that I have not posted as much this week, and I wanted to come on here and film a video because I wanted to share with you guys kind of what I've been going through, because I think a part of my YouTube channel that I really want to do is be very transparent with you guys and talk about, not every day you're going to be on top of the mountain. Some days, you're going to be in the valley. Some days you have to go through warfare. Sometimes you have to go through transitions and things like that. So I wanted to film a video to kind of be real with you guys and talk about what I've personally been going through this past week. So today's video, if you guys have already read the title, is called Whenever You're in the Valley. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but kind of what I want to talk about today is simply transition and growing pains. Kind of, if you know what growing pains are, they are whenever you're growing, kind of like in your knees and your arms, and whenever you're growing up, you have these like growing pains. And what that is because your body is changing, your body's going through transition. You get these pains and they hurt in the moment, but then you're better because of it. And I think that's kind of the same way with God. I've always loved God. I've always grown up in a Christian household, but since I've started living radically for Him, and since I've started laying my life down at His feet, and I said, God, I will do whatever you want me to do. I will go anywhere you want me to go if you use me, God. And I just started, putting all my cares down for Jesus and saying, I put my desires down because I long to follow you. And so with that comes transition, and with that comes growing pains. And so I just want to kind of talk about that, basically, transition and things like that, because that's kind of what I've been dealing with. And so a little bit of a personal story. This past week, I've just been like, God, I used to feel like I could walk around school and almost like I felt very in control. Like I knew everyone knew me. I just felt very safe and in control there. And now I honestly sometimes feel, like I'm walking around like a stranger. And I'm like, God, why do I feel like this? And I was like, why do I feel like I don't even know them anymore? Why do certain people that I used to get along with, certain people that I used to be friends with, like, why do I feel like they've changed so much? And my mom told me yesterday, she said, they haven't changed at all. You've changed. And so sometimes whenever you're going through a transition with God, whenever you're going from where you used to be to where you are now, you have to go through transition. So it's going to seem like things around you are changing, but they're not changing. You're changing. Your environment's changing. Your how you live life, how the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress, every aspect of your life is changing. Whenever you let God come into your life, things around you will begin to change. And I think about it like this. I used to pray whenever I first got like radical and like living my life completely on fire for God. I said, okay, God, I know where I'm at right now. How do I get where I want to be? How do I become a disciple? And God is a God that answers by fire. So whenever I go from here to there, He answers by fire. And what is something that we know about fire? Fire doesn't just, light your candle. Fire doesn't just barely touch you. No, fire consumes you. Whenever you light a field on fire, it doesn't just stop at a certain point. No, it keeps on burning, and it consumes the entire field. And the thing is, that's the same way with God. God doesn't want to just barely touch you. God doesn't want to quickly fix one little situation in your life and you just keep on moving about your life. No, He wants to consume every aspect of your life so that you can begin to live a consecrated walk. So I was kind of praying over this video, and God told me this. He said, let me finish my transition. Don't stop in the valley. So God, like I was saying, going through this transition phase in my life. And He said, if you get discouraged and stop right here in your transition, then you will continue to stay in the valley. Because honestly, this week I have just felt like really down about everything that kind of has been going on in my life. And I knew it was the enemy trying to get to me, and he just kept on putting circumstance after circumstance in my life. And I was like, God, like I know this is the enemy trying to slow me down. I know this is the enemy trying to play tricks on my mind. And God, I know that this is a transition for me. I know that you're trying to change some things in my life so I can come up higher with you. So God, I just ask you that you give me strength that I can be able to walk through this valley. And I think about it like this. I think about whenever you're going through a tunnel, if you look from this side to this side, it's completely black, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But if you stop in the middle of the tunnel, you're going to remain in darkness. But if you keep on pushing, you will reach the light, but you have to keep on pushing through the dark until you get to the light. And so I think about that in our same way of our life. Whenever we're going through transition, whenever we're going through growing pains, we can't stop in the darkness. We can't stop when it gets hard, because that's exactly what the enemy wants to do. He wants us to stop So that's why it sends us warfare. But the thing is, you have to go through the worst warfare before you reach your biggest breakthrough. No, you don't get victory unless you go through a battle. You don't just win wars without having a battle before that. No, you have to go to war sometimes. You have to go through warfare before you can step into your biggest breakthrough. Sometimes you have to go through transition before you can be awakened to something new. So think about it like this. My dad he used to live on a farm whenever he was growing up. And he once told me that sometimes whenever they have a field of grass, they'll burn it. And then all the grass will burn away and it'll all die. And I was like, Dad, why would you do that? Like, why would you set a whole field on fire? And he says, well, the reason we do that is so that new grass can grow. And I think about that with our life. Sometimes God has to burn out some things so you have room to grow. And actually, I had a vision like at an internship I went to this summer, and I'm going to share it with you guys. But I went back through my journal because I felt like God was just kind of like calling me to go back and read through my journal. And there was a vision that I had at this internship, and here's what it said. So I like had a dream that I like woke up in the dream or whatever, and I looked at my arm. I normally have a charm bracelet with like volleyball, basketball, like filming, like things I did in high school and middle school, things that I used to almost like, define me, just like labels almost. And I, had collected these charms over the years. Every time I made an accomplishment, I would go get a new charm for my bracelet. And so in this dream, I like woke up and looked at my charm bracelet, and all the charms had fallen off. And so I sat up in my bed and I began to look around under the sheets and under the pillows for these charms. And I felt God tell me this. He said, I had to take away your old labels so I could have room for new things. And oh my gosh, like that literally shook me. Like it changed me because at the moment, whenever I had this vision, I was like, that's really good. But now, a couple of weeks later, like a couple of months actually later, it like revealed to me, and it like something clicked in my head, because I realized, just like that field, God has to burn away the old so new can grow. So sometimes you have to go through a transition so God can move in your life. So I know it may seem hard whenever you're in the valley, but if you keep on walking close to God, He will deliver you from the valley. Okay, so I think about this. The transition may be hard, but what's coming is even better, and you have to trust in that, and you have to even rest in that truth. You have to constantly remind yourself, I know this is hard. I know sometimes it feels like you are so lonely. I know it feels like you have like no way out. I know it feels like this is the end. This is the worst it's ever been for me, but there's something so much greater. Oh, please don't cry. I know there's something so much greater for you on the other side, because honestly, whenever I think about times of warfare that I've been in, what the enemy does is he tries to make you feel alone. Or I know that's like what he does to me personally, but what he does is he tries to get me like by myself. That's whenever I've had like the worst warfares, whenever I feel very lonely, and the enemy tries to like play tricks on my mind because there's no one there to like I can talk to, or someone that can comfort me and things like that. So he tries to play tricks on your mind so that you feel like I can't get out of this, like I can't get through this. But if you trust in the Lord and you lean into Him, and I know it sounds hard, but I promise you, you are going to have so many good days. I think about warfare that I had like almost a month ago, and I remember how hard that season of life was. I remember crying in my room almost every night, but then I think about what happened after I went through that warfare, and I realized the breakthrough that happened. I realized that because of that transition, because I had to lose some people, God brought the best people into my life. And because I had to lose some things, God began to work new things in me. I mean, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I know you probably know that I have a ministry that I started called The Move. And if I wouldn't have gone through that if I wouldn't have gone through that warfare, if I wouldn't have gone through that transition, I never would have had that ministry that I started. I would never have these friends that I have now. And I would never have anything that I have now if I wouldn't have went through that transition. So even like right now, I know I'm going through transition and it seems so hard, but I know that God's going to bring something good out of it. So I just have to lean into Him and trust Him in that moment. So the last thing I want to do is I want to read to you guys Hebrews 12:11, and then we are going to close out this video. Here's what it says. Now all the disciples seem to be more pain than pleasure at the time, yet later it will produce a transformation of character, bringing a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who yield it. Okay, so I know that I'm going to break it down for what I got from that. It says, now the disciples are in pain, but later on, it will produce a transformation of character. And so what that means is they had to go through certain circumstances. They had to go through certain things so that they could learn from it. I think about whenever you make a mistake, you obviously, you learn from it. And in that same way, God says you have to go through this for you to grow through it, for you to learn something from it. You have to go through the transition, because if you do, then you will harvest righteousness and peace after it. And so that's just kind of all I wanted to share with you guys today. I know this video is a little bit different, but that's just something that I personally have been going through, and I just felt like I wanted to encourage someone else with that. So I'm just going to pray for you guys before we end out. So God, I just pray for every single person that is watching this video today, Lord. I just pray for them that you touch their lives, God. I pray that you touch them wherever they're at, God. I pray that you deliver them. I pray, God, that you just bring them peace during their situation, Lord. And I pray that you just comfort them, God, and you bring them out into the biggest breakthrough they've ever had in their entire life. And I love you guys so much. I hope this video encouraged you, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.